We have now all the elements to compute the first order approximation of the solution function of our problem, the g function. So we start by taking a first order Taylor expansion of the original model, meaning the expectation of big F of yt ut epsilon t plus 1 sigma, which is in fact f of g of yt minus 1 and so on, that must be equal to 0. And we are going to develop this Taylor expansion for yt minus 1 and yt plus 1 equal to y bar, and ut and epsilon t equal to 0. That is a deterministic steady state. Here I indicate with the index 1 in parentheses that we are considering a first order expansion of big F. Here, this term, by the definition of the steady state, is equal to 0. But however, I keep it here to remind you that we are taking the expansion around the deterministic steady state. Then I introduce some special notation to make things a little bit shorter. Y hat is equal to yt minus 1 minus y bar. U is ut, epsilon prime is epsilon t plus 1. Then the partial derivative of the function small f and of the unknown function g are as follow. We do it by block of first order derivatives. The first order derivative of y plus is defined as the partial derivative of f with respect to yt plus 1. And same thing for y0 with respect to the current variable, f y bar with respect to the previous period variable, and fu with respect to the shock. For the unknown function g, so for the time being, those derivatives are unknown and they are our object of inquiry indeed. Gy is the derivative with respect to the past state of the system, gu with respect to the shock, and g sigma with respect to the stochastic scale of the system. Then to unfold the Taylor expansion, because we are dealing with a combination of functions, we have uh, products of partial Jacobian. So we have for this term the derivative with respect to future variable, we have fy plus times gy times y prime plus gu times u plus g sigma times sigma plus gu sigma, the auxiliary shock in the next period, plus g sigma sigma. For y, when with respect to yt, it's simpler. It's simply fy0 times gy y hat guu g sigma sigma, and then we have terms without the solution function, so directly f y bar y hat plus fuu. Okay? And again, I have written in red the future shock because from the point of view of the conditional expectation, in this expression, it is the only random stochastic term. So on the next slide, in fact, I'm starting by getting rid of this term. So you see that because when you compute the derivative as the deterministic steady state, the derivatives themselves are deterministic. So in this expression, we can directly distribute the expectation sign on epsilon prime. That's what I do here. And by the hypothesis we put on epsilon, and therefore epsilon prime, the expectation of epsilon is equal to 0. So this term simply disappear from the equation. I started with an equation involving the conditional expectation, and I end up with a regular equation with only deterministic terms. The fact that future shock disappear very quickly from our problem shouldn't surprise you. Indeed, a linear or linearized model is characterized by certainty equivalence. Basically, in such a model, agents take the same decision whatever the amount of future uncertainty. Because the model is linear, and if we have symmetric shock, they will just cancel out. So now that I transform my expectation problem into a deterministic one, what I do is here I factorize with respect to y hat, u, and sigma. So now I have a function, an expression in y hat, u, and sigma that must always be equal to 0. Whatever the value of y hat, the distance I was in the previous period from the deterministic steady state, whatever the shock in the neighborhood, the shocks in the neighborhood of 0 that I observe at the beginning of the period, or whatever the stochastic scale of the model. Of course, you realize that the only way to solve this equation for 0, equal to 0, is that the first derivative, the first parenthesis is equal to 0, and the second and the third. And from the fact that these three parentheses must be equal to 0, we hope to gain enough information to find an expression here for gy, there for gu, and finally for g sigma. So now I'm going to use successively these three parentheses to recover gy, gu, and g sigma. So when I start with gy, I'm a bit surprised because despite the fact that we are dealing with a linear model, I'm confronted here with a quadratic matrix equation. An equation where the unknown is a matrix Gy, and this matrix appears at the square in the equation. So we will need a special algorithm to solve it. And in fact, for the time being, I send you to the appendix of the presentation to see the detail. But some more general remarks are in order. First, for this type of equation, there is a multiplicity of solutions for Gy, but only some of them are stable, meaning that after a shock, the model is going back to the steady state. And when dealing with DSG model, we prefer models where there exists a unique stable solution, and DINAR works only with those. A strong argument in favor of unique stable solution is that it makes it easier to postulate that agent coordinates on the same expectation. And if your model doesn't have any stable solution or a multiplicity of those, then DINAR simply issues an error. So in DINAR, we propose two different algorithms to solve this matrix quadratic equation. By default, we use a generalized Schur decomposition. In the literature, is often be referred as a QZ method, but there is also a cyclic reduction that in some circumstances may be more efficient. You will find separate videos describing those algorithms. Now, one more thing. In the literature, there is a famous condition, the Blanchard and Kahn condition, that states the condition for the existence of a unique stable solution in a linear rational expectation model. There must be in the model as many forward-looking variables as there are eigenvalue larger than 1 in modulus. So the existence of a unique stable solution rests on the discussion of the eigenvalue of our linearized rational expectation model. I am now use the second parenthesis to recover the partial derivative of the solution function with respect to the shock. This is much easier because this equation is a standard linear system, and we obtain immediately that Gu is minus the inverse of this expression time Fu. Then for G sigma, the partial derivative with respect to the stochastic scale of future shocks in the model. This is an homogeneous linear system, and in all circumstances, G sigma will be equal to 0. And the absence, in fact, of first order derivative of the solution with respect to the stochastic scale of the model is a second manifestation of the certainty equivalence property of first order approximation. So if I put things together, I will have that first order approximation of the endogenous variable yt is equal to their steady state value plus gy times yt minus 1 minus y bar plus gu times ut. It looks a lot like a VAR system, except that not all the variable are necessarily observed in a linear rational expectation model. But from this expression, it's very easy to find that the unconditional expectation of the endogenous variable is simply the steady state, and the variance of those expressions is a linear equation, but a bit complicated because the unknown big sigma y is here in sandwich between two matrices. So such equation, it's in fact a discrete time Lyapunov equation and must be solved with an appropriate algorithm. So now you see briefly how to derive the first order approximation of a DSG model.